Hi there, this is Jason Snedden, the Abundance Activator, and this is another episode from our Zoom series that we're putting together where I bring some amazing people on for conversations about spirituality, abundance, how we're riding through this very interesting time. And I'd like to introduce Claire Evans, who I've recently met. And we had a very beautiful connection. Just the other day, we had a lovely conversation about what each of us are doing. And I invited Claire to come on to this program to share her story because I found it absolutely fascinating. And I'm sure you will too. So Claire, welcome.
Thank you, Jason. What an incredibly sweet offering that you would bring people into your space and just light the room up with them. So I'm very grateful to be here.
Well, a beautiful being of light that you are. So I'm thrilled that you're here.
Here we go.
So, yeah, do you want to just sort of share a little bit about your journey? Where it all started and where you are today?
My goodness. So I guess I'd be here for hours if I went into all of it. But the basic thing for me is that I came in very aware of spirit and very connected to spirit. And I actually didn't know any different. I didn't think, I didn't have a comparison. I just assumed everyone's things. I assumed everyone had these magical dreams where they could enter other lands. And I used to have this sort of thing go on when I went to bed at night where I'd breathe in for the count of 8, hold it, breathe out for the count of 8. And I was only like a 5-year-old. And I would do that a few times and then I could leave my body and I'd start to bounce like in the room across onto the walls. And I just used to love that. And I didn't think anything of it, like that was... that's just how I rolled. And I had a spirit friend, a spirit, I guess, that showed up when I was probably about 4 or 5. And that was Jesus. And I know that word can freak a lot of people out around the sort of religious idea. But for me, it was this incredible being that he would sit with me, and there was nothing that he couldn't hear. There was nothing that he couldn't be with me in. It was just this incredible, intelligent, kind and humorous energy of light that was just always there. And I'm not even sure where. I just knew it was Jesus. Wow. So a lot of my life was that. But having said that, my family life is challenging, very like classical Australian sort of family. And so, there were a lot of challenges on the way. And I found for me, one of the biggest challenges was to walk the world of spirit and the world of humanness. Mm. And I found that I grew up feeling they were very apart, those worlds. Mm. And I didn't really know how to reconcile them. Like I'd either jump into being really human. And sometimes I refer to that like like a really sort of normal showing up, and then I would jump into being really spiritual. And sometimes I sort of call that my Magdalene and my Virgin Mary pendulum. So I lived a life of being, very connected to spirit. And I found myself really following the breadcrumbs, like big time, whatever would show up, I'd be like, okay, God, where do you want me to be? And I pretty much did want to be a nun and give my life to Jesus, but then I discovered boys. And anyway, that was like, okay, hang on, I need to reevaluate this nun idea. But, I found myself when I was about 27 in a very incredible spiritual awakening process. And so I was always on that path. And I found myself in a process with a whole lot of people. And it was like an ashram, a community where we ate together, we lived together, we prayed together, and we meditated together. And we would gather for probably 8 hours a day, every day except Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. And we were incredibly dedicated to, some really incredible teachings, like God is only love, and I am spirit, and there is no death, and everything that's occurring is for my waking up, like these incredible teachings. Mm-hmm. But I found that they were sort of a very vertical process of you know, the overriding of the humanness, the like I'm ascending, and my story's not important, my emotional, my pain body, it's sort of, you know, it's not real, it's in the past. There were all these teachings that were used to keep the humanness at bay, and I felt like that rift got bigger in me. And but I was very much about the light. I was a light bunny. I was like, yes, you know, let's be in light and be showered in light and love and da 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 da. I think it's a rite of passage, and then the universe came and just slammed me into my body. I was diagnosed with a cancerous tumor in my womb, of all places. It was like right in the seat of that feminine center, which for so long denied. I had, you know, because I was like with God, I'm like, okay, I'm with God, I'm not a body, I'm not honoring my intuition anymore, I'm not doing, you know, I was just disconnected. So
were you spiritually bypassing, do you think?
Just a little.
Yeah.
I was a whole highway. I was like, you know, the LA highway. I wasn't just bypassing, I had a whole series of interconnected highways. So yeah, this you know, this tumor in my womb really made me sort of slam me back into the world, and it made me go, I have to look at all the things that bothered me that I pretended don't bother me. All the things I say I've forgiven that I really haven't. All the grievances I've pushed under the carpet, and now look at the carpet. So there was that running, but on another level, Jason, I did not know when I said yes to like I said yes to committing to clearing the energy in my womb. I did not know, and this was like 17 years ago, that I was stepping on the waking up of the divine feminine. Like that word was not around. It was not a thing. But I sort of found myself after I was diagnosed, again, still trusting spirit. I'm at a 10-day Vipassana course. I'm in deep meditation, and then I get the message, go to Italy, go to France, go overseas. And I'm trying to figure out how to get there in this Vipassana course. You know, I come out with a plan. I know you shouldn't be doing that Vipassana, but anyway.
You're supposed to be just equanimous. Just be equanimous. Nothing else. No creating.
I'm like, okay, flight here, then I get a flight there, then I had 10 days to plan. I did end up, so I got myself to France, and I sort of said to Spirit, look, what do I do now? And the message was, you know, and you know, when you follow the breadcrumbs, it's just phenomenal. Like I ended up at a backpackers where there were 3 other women called Claire, and the backpackers was the little prince, and like there were all these gorgeous little moments in it. And the was to get a car and to drive the car through the south of France. So I did that. And I would just drive, and I would, you know, I'd be driving and I'd hear, feel, sense, stop here, stop now, and see that mountain, Claire, now walk up that mountain, you know. And I'd find churches that were sort of tucked away, and I'd just sit and pray. And then I went to by the rivers of the Pyrenees, and took off all my clothes and just felt this Magdalene energy rushing through me as I swam in the freezing cold water, just in gratitude. And I didn't realize what I was doing. I've got a series of photos from the travel, and they're all of statues of Mary.
Wow.
You know, yeah, whether it's Virgin or the like I didn't know that this was waking up in me, you know. And I was taking photos of all the statues, and then when I'd finished after a month of France, the voice said, now go to Israel. And I was like, kidding. Okay, so I flew to Israel, and I got to Jerusalem, you know, having no idea. I walk into the gates of the old city, and I get about 500 steps, and I think I'm going to vomit. I'm sweating, I'm panicking. It was just way too much. So I got out, you know, universe has it, I end up at a bus stop that takes me to the Dead Sea. So I sat at the Dead Sea for 3 days and just meditated, and pretty much was like, okay, Jesus, I'm back. Now it's time, you know. So I you know, and I began this journey of really diving deep into what I called was I see 3 rings in healing. And the first is my personal healing. Like I've got to clear up my Claire story. And then I also clear up the lineage, you know, the contracts and the agreements and the ancestral aches and pains that have been traveled in my body. And then I also
in your past life stuff as well.
Yeah, my own, like, because I am my ancestor at that level.
Yeah.
And then the collective. So I would watch this weaving of those three circles of my Claire energy, my lineage, and then the collective. And that's where Magdalene energy really showed up, when I'd go to that collective. You know, just really seeing, I saw this thing, and it was like the schism between man and woman. When I say man and woman, I don't often mean in our physical form, the energetics, the feminine and the masculine.
Yeah.
And it was like at the moment of Christ's crucifixion, it was like this schism occurred. This, what I saw was that, like, all the men went into hiding, and they went like, okay, we didn't know who this person was, and they ran into hiding. And all the women were left having to fend for themselves and take care. And it was like man and woman just completely separated out of this fear. And as women, it was like we were left feeling the backlash of the community, from our brothers and our fathers and our husbands and our, you know, and it was hard for us to be with that. And meanwhile, we had no backup from what we called our disciples, our brothers. So I got to see this sort of schism of discombobulation from the masculine and feminine union. Wow. And almost like that's been playing out for the 2,000 years. And now here we are at a point where that energetics can recalibrate within one being, and then within each other as we meet, and within each other as we meet. But the real union of the masculine and feminine now is available within my own body.
Right. So you're experiencing, would you say you've been experiencing what's happening on a collective level? Oh, look at what I'm doing.
I know.
Don't know why I was doing that, but
I mean, we can't not all experience what's on the collective, because we are that. I guess what I saw is that I was shown what the vertical wake up was, and, you know, then I was brought in to be shown what the horizontal wake up, which is the feminine. And then within that, I got shown like the perfect cross of divine union within our own self.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, is that cross is the balance of the masculine vertical and the expansion of the horizontal to include all, and the embodiment. So I really, you know, they took me to both extremes to see, like, you know, there's this old paradigm idea that waking up means I leave my physical, I leave my humanness, I transcend it. You know, we always say we're rising and we're ascending, but I've got to experience that there's as much juice in the descent and in the embodiment. There's nothing to run from. Like, the idea that I'm running from something gives it power, because I think I need to run from it. You know, and I look at the world at this time, and I'm like, with the coronavirus and everything, like, I see it as this multi-dimensional opportunity of where so much is converging at one point, where the consciousness as a singularity and as a collective has the ability to transform and go beyond that which it thought it was at exponential quantum leaps, if it so chooses. Because, like, with this corona thing that's coming in, I know it's hitting us economically, it's helping us out environmentally, and underneath that, it's also helping us remember our true nature and to slow down. So there's all these factors I see converging at one point, if we want it. And this is the, you know, as out there as spirituality gets. For me, it really comes back to a basic moment. Am I choosing fear, or am I choosing love? You know, like, no matter what the story is, it gets that simple. And it's like, right now, like with the corona stuff, I was really looking at, and I'm sure all of us have our own play in this, but I was looking at how it's really calling us back to stop and to take, you know, to take, like, stock of what's important to us as people, and what's valuable to us as people. And, you know, instead of feeling that we're running along with this world and we're always 8 steps behind, we're behind the 8 ball. And so many people I know are operating like catching up and being on that pulse and got my finger on that and crushing
because
that.
they think they have to, because that's what they're used to doing, and that's what the programming is, and then they don't stop to actually, to go within and see what's actually true for them. Yeah.
And it's like this
Great.
sort of machine has its own momentum, and we're all running after it, trying to keep up, and denying the beingness. Like, we're in the doing, if you like. So I would see that as that masculine energy of doing, but we haven't really come into the being, or reclaimed, because we know what it is to be in the being, but we don't give it enough value. So it's
so you shared with me the other day about how important it is to also be with the, the fear, to be with the pain, to be with the ickiness. Can you just talk to that? Because I think it's because especially in spiritual land, we can often go, okay, well, I'll just meditate my way out of that. But it's really important to acknowledge what's going on, right? So can you talk to that?
I would love to. You've hit my sweet spot.
I know.
I think, it's sort of embarrassing how much I have to learn before I can teach it. I'm like a bit of a slow student. But the journey through my womb journey was what took me into feeling. And not just feeling it, so, okay, I've done that and I can pop up and get about my business. And the bypass that I had going meant that I wasn't able to. So, I've been trained, if you like, to take myself to that place where I can sit with the feeling, I can breathe with that feeling, and start to listen to what that feeling is really telling me. And in this relationship of being with, I often find that feeling begins to transmute, and it begins to alchemize, and it shows me what's sitting under it. And before I got online, I was really feeling into, like I said, this multi-dimensional aspect of the corona. And for me, one of the things that comes up is that we've spent a lot of lifetimes running from our emotional body. And consumerism is one of the best ways to not feel.
Totally. And
you don't want to feel
it. It's happening big time at the moment. I was out. I just went out to get a yoga bolster and a yoga block, and I was like, I could really feel all this panic buying, because the gyms had just closed and Rebel Sports was packed, and people. But also there's also a lot of buying to feel better. I really sense that. It's like. That's only so short-lived. It's not really.
But it's fun, isn't it? I mean, there's two things in that I find. One is that I've given my idea of security away.
Yeah.
In that because, and I'm going to say and I also mean the collective, because I'm not active in my connection with myself, or when I'm not active in my connection with myself, I look to the world around me for security. And as a people, we haven't really been given much credos of going within, because the old religions have made that, something, one, you don't do without a priest, or two, you don't trust yourself. It's not like, what would you know, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, we're just not used to going within. So I look for security outside of myself, and that means a better house, a really good job, a car. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's when the security or sense of self is placed outside of myself, and I'm denying the connection that's in here, that's a stability that's within myself. And for me, being so womb connected, I see in women that sense of safety really sits in our womb space. When we drop right into there, it's like, we're at the center of the storm. But coming back to the feeling piece, so with everything that's rising up, it's like the doors are closed now, and we can't escape our feeling. We can't go out and, get another job or buy more groceries. The cupboards are full, the doors are locked, and it's like there's no exits. How are we going to manage ourselves now? And Corona is amazing, because she's done that to us. She's like, right, I'm going to bring you guys up close and personal with your stuff, and see how you manage that. And we're not used to feeling our pain. We often can get drunk or lash out at the other, yada yada. So really in this, and I did a video last night on it, and for me it's about making it safe to feel.
Yeah.
So creating a space in your home where you've got like a candle or a flower, or for a second you have your own space, and you commit to, I just need to feel this panic for a second. I've just come in from the store, or I'm looking for my gloves and my mask so I can go outside. I mean, that is so insane, just that. But it's like, that I need to feel this panic, because if I don't feel it, one, my body is going to hold it, my tension, my muscles, my lungs, I'm going to hold it in my body. I'm going to ruminate it in my head. And this fear I'm not feeling is going to slowly erode my own immune system and my sense of peace. So it's like when that panic's rising, it's not pleasant, it's not easy, but we need to learn to just, a few things. Breath, be aware with it, be conscious that I am now feeling, you can even say it out loud, I'm now willing to feel my panic. I'm now willing to feel my fear. And make the time, feet on earth, breath through the body, and feel it, and see it as a current that runs through your body and out into the earth. So that we feel it and we're like, I'm not pushing this away. I'm not pushing this panic away. I am going to transmute it. I'm going to feel it, and I'm going to turn it and say, nature, I need help with this. We are children on this planet of all the elements. I need help with this. This feeling is overwhelming, and I release it back to the earth. And then in that gap, I can fill that up again with peace and with possibility and with love. But while I'm not feeling, and so many, like, it's so overwhelming to lean in and feel this. I get it. It's like the money's just stopped flowing in. The kids might be home from school now. How are we all going to cope? It's bigger than anything we've come up against. But as a consciousness, if we don't learn to feel and transmute our pain, we can't get to the next level of evolution. And it's like there's all this pain in the collective and worry, which when we feel it, we realize it's not real. But until that moment, but on a collective, if we keep just generating fear, it's going to block our transformation. So we need to start being active in this wake up individually, even a little bit, to feel, to let it go, and to bring more awareness and more peace to the field.
Yeah. You said something really interesting that I just want to go back to you. The fear isn't really real. Can you talk to that? Because that you're exactly right. Everything you're saying, I totally inherently know what you're saying is truth. And unless we feel into what's going on, what you resist persists. So it'll come up in some way, right? It'll continue on, it'll keep coming back at us unless we feel in. But until we get to that place of being with what is, we cannot see the truth of it, right?
Absolutely. It's like one of my great teachers, whom I love dearly, my spiritual teachers, he'd say, the only way through a black hole is all the way through. And what he meant,
true. So true, right?
It's like once you're in, you can't get out. You actually have to go through it. So it's like once the fear's there, you can't deny it. So stop pretending that you're okay. And especially for spiritual people, they're like, wow, this is a great opportunity for waking up. Oh, this is so incredible. The dolphins are back in the Venice River. Like, I get all that, but also use this to feel the depth of our humanness. So coming back to that point of it's not real. Now, this is a fine line to dance, because I don't want to in any way discredit someone's fear or someone's moment in fear. I'm not going to walk up to you
because it feels very real. I get it. It does feel real.
It's so real. And when I'm in my stuff, if someone walks in and goes, oh, well, lucky it's not real, I'm going to want to slap them, like, seriously. So it's like there's a a rite of passage or a journey through fear when you get to a place where it's not real. But until that time, feel it, honor it, if you like, look at it, pull it apart. Like if we pick one fear, I no longer have security.
Yeah.
If I pick that,
fundamental human need, right?
It is. I no longer have security. I don't have my job. There's no money coming in. It's a real deal. There's no way you can,
you to take that away.
Yeah. It's like when I was told, like, okay, this is really, the rubber meets the road. You know what I mean? But, and this is the interesting part too, it's only really if you're ready. Sometimes if you're down on your hands and knees enough, then comes a relief. Like when you're broken, that's when you actually sometimes find the light in that tunnel. And that moment of there's no, I have no security. And then you sit with that for a while and you look at that and you begin to see where you've placed your security. And it's in everything outside of yourself. In, getting that job, it's in getting that car. And I'm not saying we don't need food and shelter and all of that stuff. But there comes a moment when, as I go within, I connect with what is security within me. Where is that place where my in-breath and my out-breath are breathing me? And I reach that place of secure within my life force. And I don't have the words to really, and nor would I want to, because everyone has a connection with their source, whatever word you want to call it. But when you reach that place in yourself, source, God, light, universal consciousness, it's like that's the place where the security lies. And from there, we're shown possibility. From there, we're shown other ways of being. And it's like then the magic starts because, it's like seek first the kingdom. It was not just a religious sentence. It really was the kingdom of heaven is within. Seek that first, and then everything else will be added.
Yeah.
So it's like we have to go within. This is literally physically we are called to go within. Yeah. And at that point when I go within and I discover true security, I realize my fears aren't real in the sense that I've been operating as a particle and not a wave, in the sense that I've been seeing myself as separate from rather than connected to. And once I see that union and that interconnectedness, those fears will start to, loosen and dissolve, and sort of there'll be space in that. So I'm definitely not here to confront someone's terrible moment and say it's not real. But there is a progression in the looking at the fear where it does, like the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle will talk about, it begins, that dark cloud begins to subside. But we have to look to our inner beingness to find that light again. Yeah.
And then we've once we've done that and we've stepped out of the fear, that's when all the inspiration, the ideas, the guidance, the clarity, the creativity comes forth. But we can't see it when we're all in the dark depths of despair and fear.
So, and I think that's such a good point, isn't it? Like panic stops possibility. Like when I see myself or others in panic, it's like it's this clamp around the brain, around the mind, and I can't see any sort of possibility. It's like I've tried that, doesn't work. Nothing's working. Like it's a real absolute thinking. And in that sense, we think fear is, a wall we can't penetrate. But really, we really can when we are willing to go within.
And be with it, and be with it, and be with it, and be with it.
And be with it. And for all of us out there, for anyone watching, take time to be with this. This is no joke. We've never been here before in this consciousness. No. I mean, that sort of, that leads me to another moment in my mind, which is cholera, Black Plague, the other influenza. We have a backlog of these moments in time and space where a lot of us were wiped out, but a lot of us had a lot of fear. Like for me, the Black Plague comes up. It must be in my own personal memory package. And I can feel it in the streets. And it's like this sort of darker energy where if someone's sick, you hide them away, and people come in and there's dead bodies in the streets, a bit like a Monty Python sort of moment in my mind. But what I'm liking is that we're in that same moment where bringing up the fear that was stuck there in that time-space continuum, and we're readdressing it from kindness. Like I'm seeing people, although people are hoarding, and I'm seeing the other side of it too. Like people are saying, I need hand sanitizer, and someone's like, here's some. Or today I went somewhere and a woman gave me some gloves. Like the kindness of strangers is when we're raising the consciousness that once in the Black Plague would have, forced us into killing each other. Now we're actually in it together. So I think we're doing some amazing stuff.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh, well, that's so wonderful to have you here and to share your perspective, which totally resonates with me. And how are you? What's your, how do you work with people? What is your offering? What do you work with groups, one-on-ones? What do you do?
I do both groups and one-on-ones, and I do a few things, but one thing I really love to do is the womb work with women. I don't like the word work, so I'm going to have to womb journeys is probably a good idea. And that grew up out of my own journey. And what it is, it's a process that can either be weekend or a few weeks. And we go through all the wounds and the stories that we've stored in the womb space. So that can be past lover wounds, mother, father wounds, sister rivalry, like the sister wound. That's a fun one. And we go through all that and we clear. I use writing and yoga and guided meditation and burning and lots of shamanistic breathing processes and in the earth and getting juicy and into that wound. But I also love the vertical ascension that is in me too, is that silence and that meditation and that real gentle place of where everything dissolves. So I find encouraging and supporting women in womb connection is really good. And I see on the planet that the more women are in this place in ourselves, the more able we are to bring through that divine feminine softness. And when I was leaving Peru, I was in Peru a few years ago, and as I was leaving, I was at the airport and I could feel all the guides around me and everything, and they were, the download at the airport. And they were telling me that kindness has not been on the planet for a long time.
Right.
It was, like the real genuine softness and kindness of the feminine has not been here for a long time. So I really love that. And I love joy and all that fun stuff. So I'm offering at the moment a few free Zoom meetings, and as women we go in and write and clear. I also teach Iyengar yoga, so I'm doing some restorative Iyengar classes online.
Oh, cool.
Which should be really fun. And I love to write. I speak. I've probably spoken too much. Thanks for letting me chat. And just so, body work, intuitive body work, reading, transpersonal counselling, whatever shows up in the field.
Beautiful.
Really.
Well, I'll tag you in, of course, and we'll put down your details in the post anyway. And it's been a delight having you here, Claire. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and sharing your story and sharing your gifts with us. And I look forward to seeing what unfolds for you and us and all of us, really.
Jason, I want to thank you actually for being such a willing light to bring this through, like your willingness to reach out and say, hey, I want to bring this through. It's like we can't do this alone. Yeah. So thank you so much for the love that you bring and your sounding, your magic, your voice. It's incredible. Thank you.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Okay, darling, one day we'll meet in the flesh. And
we will, in beautiful Byron, hopefully.
Absolutely. Okay.
Right. See you, lovely. Bye.
Bye, love.